All right, if I could get our cohort up on stage, please. On the sofas here. Somebody grab that mic. So we got room for 2 on that sofa and probably 3 right here. And we will be passing mics. So there's that. Chris, Ted, come on. Sit in alphabetical order. I'm just kidding. That's crazy. Hilarious. Michelle, Chris, no passing notes. All right. It is appropriate that you are the master of the mic on that particular seat. Oh yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. I need y'all to fill in these chairs. What are y'all doing? I don't know what part of this you thought was gonna be passive. Everyone here in some way has met me or knows me. This is not what we're doing. In the words of Buckshot the BDI, just when you thought it was safe. If you don't get that message, she's too young for you, bro. All right. Michelle, what was that? I love the preparedness. Except, yeah, no, it's cool. Welcome everyone. Man, some of y'all didn't go to public school. This shows. Welcome everyone. I just want you to understand, like tonight is a combination of like the Vanity or the Hollywood Reporters like roundtables and the Graham Norton show. And anyone that knows the Graham Norton show knows this is going to be a whole time, and we're going to talk about a lot. We're going to cover a lot, and hopefully we leave here feeling that we've changed, and at least one person will cry, but not how you think it's going to be. So it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. So now that I've gotten all that out the way, that's my jitters. Now we're going to start the part where, and this is where the edits begin. You'll notice my voice changes fine. Welcome everyone. Speed, roll playback. All right, we ready? All right. So, all right. Welcome everyone. My name is Jason E.C. Wright. I am founder and director at Burntsienna Research Society, and this is the closing talk for our Winter 2026 cohort. So, give a round of applause for our cohort. This cohort's very distinct, and every cohort has its idiosyncrasies. It has its things that I love and that I learned from it, but this one is very specifically special because this is the cohort that welcomed me back home to Los Angeles, and this one will always have that special designation for me. So thank you for showing up fully within this and reminding me that the work still matters. So thank you all. So one more time, a round of applause for them, please. We are going to go through a bit of a meandering conversation that is going to be framed a lot in the context of depth perception. Each of you are people that tend to see things deeper than the surface level, and we're going to talk about your practices, what drives you, a bit about your origin story, and kind of what's next. And somewhere in between there, I believe all of us will find some new words on the other side of all of the work that's been done over the past 10 weeks. So, before we begin, I want to give a shout out to Dee and the whole team at MEADOW, which is where we are now. We are inside of Manor's York Manor location. MEADOW is a co-working space in Highland Park. So if you are local to Los Angeles, visiting Los Angeles, and you'd like to find a place that you can come get some head down work that's also supported with cool amenities like snacks and quiet booths for phone calls, and structural amenities like printers and wireless keyboards and extension screens for your laptop to be able to get work done, this is a great space for that, and you don't have to necessarily be a Highland Park resident to benefit from it, but there is a beautiful community impact that happens here. What in the world is that? Yeah, go ahead. I think it's Thank you very much. Shout out to having friends that work with cameras. Yeah. That is the shortest summation of that. So that's our little commercial. It's kind of like podcast ads. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go around, let everyone introduce themselves, and what I'd like for you to do is, as we talked about in the cohort, let's do your name and your boilerplate, hometown, and where you're based now. So we will start actually on that end. We're going to start with Ted. So you guys can keep that mic over there.
This thing on?
So you thought it was a joke?
There we go.
It's like, is this thing on? It is.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
My name is Ted Menné Heron of Menné Heron, and based out of Boulder, Colorado. Live in Los Angeles now. My business is Menné Heron, which is a focus on chasing beautiful light, and is a visual practice in still photography, short films, and physical photo productions as installation and books.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ted.
Hello, everybody. My name is Strickland. Working title on my offering, After Memory, is what I'm going with today.
Yeah.
It is a creative cultural enterprise that specializes in showcasing Black diasporic history through a creative lens, utilizing the aesthetics and the applied arts to do so. Examples of that would be like a world-building IP, graphic novel series,
Yes.
architecture, decor, apparel, and experiential.
Fantastic. And where you from? Where you based?
Originally from Rochester, New York, currently living in Glassell Park, LA.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Definitely want to hand that mic down. That's y'all couch's mic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle R. Johnson-Strickland, and I am from Alexandria, Virginia. I'm based here in Los Angeles, and my practice is Ghost Town World, which is in one part Ghost Town Oats, a hospitality infrastructure company that is in the plant-based milk space, and on the other side, Ghost Town World, which is an education and content studio that is bringing up the next generation of culturally informed hospitality professionals.
Yeah.
Damn.
Landed the plane on that one. Yes.
Hey y'all, my name is Carlie Carpio, and I'm originally from Midwest City, Oklahoma. If you can't hear it in the twang. I'm based in Los Angeles, and I've been here for 11 years this year. And my practice is myself. I'm a wellness architect focused on centering individual healing for collective transformation through all of my companies. Holistic, which are self-care ritual products. Holistically Dope, which is movement and mindfulness in all the workspaces and in the world.
Yes.
Peace, y'all. My name is Emmanuel Ricketts, but artist name Def Sound. And I'm from Los Angeles, South Central LA. And I've lived here my whole life, so I've seen a lot of change. And so my practice is the Black Laboratory, or the Black Labs. And what that is it is a educational as well as healing resource for MCs, poets, and griots that are interested in having sustainable, long-term, multi-decade, impactful careers through education and practice.
I just got very excited hearing all of you say that, because it is exactly all of those things and more, but that's a beautiful door for people to walk into and to come into a multi-room space. And so thank you all for taking the time to introduce yourselves. So as we talked about, the concept of having vision, having sight is one thing. Sometimes that's seen as like being very far-reaching, but depth perception, that is looking deeper into anything, looking below the surface, being perceptive, being curious, caring enough to be curious, right? And I think that that's foundational for all of you. Want to talk a little bit about like where does that come from for you, like as far as in life experiences, a bit of your own personal stories, like where does looking deeper come from? Is it based on things that you experienced in adolescence? Is it based on thoughts of abundance or lack? Is it making do with certain things? But like, where does that come from for you, and how does that show up in your practice now? Chris, if you want to kind of kick off with that.
You can tell I was listening. Yeah, so I'm one of 5 kids. My parents were both educators. So growing up as Black educators, they told us that there was 2 histories. The one that'll get you an A, and the truth.
Make sure you keep that mic close to your mouth, because I want to make sure that people hear that. Repeat that, because that's several bars.
My mother was an English teacher, my father was a history teacher. And growing up, they told me that there was 2 histories in America. The one that'll get you an A, and the truth. So I learned very early that I needed to get those A's to not disrespect the household. But I became a bit of a problem student because I was being taught real history at home.
Yeah.
Growing up in Rochester, I was old enough to be a part of the breakdown in the industrial city that at once was led by Kodak. Employed a large population of the city. They missed the boat on going digital and were replaced by a bunch of Fujifilm, everyone else you can imagine, Canon. As a result of that, a lot of the schools switched from creative sciences to building and teaching employable students.
And that's different than creativity that they may have seen previously.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I lived 9 years in Arizona, Southwest, during my formative years. So I witnessed creative education versus the formal East Coast education. So coming back to the East Coast, I was put back into a box of learning.
So how does that show up now with your practice as interdisciplinary as it is now, but like how is that perceptiveness and that care for making sure that there's space for that, how does that show up in your practice now?
The current practice was something that my brother and I put together. It was just an idea to pass the time, but also pass on an inheritance of wisdom to our children's children. And a lot of the stories, or as history has been rewritten in textbooks and a lot of educational structures, don't represent who we are properly. I wanted to create an offering that fed my soul, as well as allowed me to survive financially. And there's no better way for me to do that than creatively.
That's a beautiful way to say that. On the other side of that, Michelle, like again, like you all are not even mirrors, but complements of one another. I know a lot for you, like started with writing and other things like that, but like even before that, where were you, I don't know, like where was that drive to like, but there's something more behind it, there's something like, where did that come from? And how did that kind of accidentally but intentionally guide you into what later became Ghost Town?
So I grew up living in homeless shelters with my mom, sometimes my dad if he felt like following the rules, and my 4 younger siblings. And something that was consistent even in all of the switching around of families and, you know, we're in this shelter this week and now we're in a motel the next week, is that coffee was always, there was always a coffee set up. And so coffee for me at a very young age was tied to stability. And there's an inherent hospitality in that, especially for people who live nomadically, living they're very unstable. and are just trying to figure out like how to build from under nothing. Coffee was that. And so when I was in college, it was the first time I like had an introduction to the college coffee shop. And that's where I first realized like, oh, there are people in here who gatekeep this, and I did not get it. It was confusing to me because coffee felt like something that like, well, this is supposed to be something that makes me feel good when I'm feeling underneath the ground. Like when everything is fucked up, I can go to coffee.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm being shut out of this space. So fast forward to 2016, I'd already been in coffee for about 4 or 5 years at this point. And I go to this Woman in Coffee event, and it really was a white woman in coffee event because I was the only black woman there. And they're having this conversation about like gender equality and like the things that they deal with. And I'm like, there's something missing from this conversation. And that made me realize that there's something missing in hospitality as a whole, is that cultural element, is that we are not actually getting to the root of creating more inclusive spaces, not for DEI's sake, but for like from a business standpoint. Doing the work to be culturally informed, to understand that there are different cultural norms when it comes to hospitality, makes your space inherently more inclusive, will bring more people in, you'll make more money. And so that is what we eventually came to with Ghost Town, is creating this product that from the supply chain all the way to how it's presented is something that you see it and you inherently feel like you don't even know why, but it's for you. How it tastes feels like, it feels familiar.
Yeah.
How it steams, how it functions feels familiar. It's not something different. I'm not trying to take people from fucking A to Z. I'm trying to take you from A to B.
Yeah.
And that care into taking somebody from A to B is what I think the hospitality industry is missing as a whole.
Yeah, go ahead and snap that one up, because when we talk about being whole, Carlie, your entire practice started kind of from like rebuilding yourself, wasn't it? And talk a little bit about that and how that journey was for you, looking basically at the nuance of yourself and finding ways to fold all of that back in, as opposed to keeping it separate and quiet and having a life that you love to live.
Yeah. I used to be an engineer in construction. So, anybody ever flown through Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport? Okay, if you have, y'all welcome, because that was my last project. We were renovating terminals A and C, and yeah, girl, the jet bridges, all that. I really wanted to be an architect because I love the idea of me helping you build your dreams. You can draw something and I can build it. And then I got into construction and it wasn't that. It was just making rich white people richer. It was monotonous, there was no community. I was the youngest person, I was the only woman of color, I was the only woman in all these rooms. And I wasn't happy, I was losing it. And so I was like, well, what can I do? And so my mentor was like, well, do you know how to love yourself? And I was like, what do you mean? Of course I love myself. And I didn't, but on that journey, all of these ways I learned to love myself. I've always been an athlete, love movement, but I started finding a movement practice outside of sports, which is different. I started meditating, I started doing yoga, I started making my own products and making sure that the things I put on my body and the things I put in my body are intentional. Everything was with intention. Moved out to LA to go to USC for business school because that's the only thing my millennial brain knew how to do to change my life. And I realized that all those things that help save me can help other people self-actualize, can help other people heal. I now create brave spaces for other people to sit with themselves, to just sit with all that you are and recognize that that's enough. And what can that look like in different spaces? Because a lot of times there's no Black and brown people. When you're in higher education, those spaces aren't made for us. It's traumatic. A lot of these workspaces are traumatic. And so what does it look like to be able to create home within yourself so that when you go out into the world, you feel good?
And not just feel good, but you have enough space within yourself to have space for others. And there's there's just so much. Also, I love the real time moment of Michelle being like, wait, I'm sorry, what? Like, who have I been with this whole time? Like, today years old. Like, I didn't know. Start sending postcards from DFW. But when it comes to creating space, occupying space, and then realizing that there's no real codification or license or regulation of space, that's something that we've talked about a lot is, everything from poetic license to a poetic license to why is
I literally have one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Real life.
Like sitting right there, I actually have a card. You gotta keep that thing on you, man.
For sure. But it's the idea of not just who's vetting, who's sharing, but how does this sharing become a lifetime pursuit and taking it seriously as opposed to seen as something frivolous or the parallels to athletics for like a 30-year-old, you know what I mean? And then also just like activism, philosophy, being a sage, being a pillar, like why are those layers important to you to make space for cultivating and more importantly, making space for those that went through the original cycle and need a rinse in order to be able to repeat that for the rest of their lives?
Yeah, thank you for that. What I understand is, as Black folks, we are a part of a long song. We're a part of a long song, and it's been going on, right? And I think that the world that we're in, that we're engaging with, is very decontextualized. And we don't have a lot of time or space to get into the context, to get into the granular, to get into the histories, and the legacies that we're already a part of. So since it's a long song, I'm gonna start at my first poetry reading was actually in my auntie Vita, rest in peace, my auntie Vita's living room. It was the day that Pac passed.
Oh, wow.
And we were all outside playing, in the jungles, like that's the J's for people that are from LA. But we were all outside, me and my cousins playing. And it was like she ran outside like it was an emergency. She's like, wait, everybody come inside right now. And I thought what's going on, so we all gather around. She has us all gather around and she brings out one of those old school, and it was a thick notebook, old school spiral bound, and starts reading poetry about Tupac, right? And so she's reading about Tupac, then she starts reading Tupac lyrics. And she's like emotional, she's charged up, she's crying. It's like this whole experience for her. And like, I'm sitting there with my cousins like, what's going on? Like, she's never read us poetry, first of all, like, what? And so then when she was done, she was done. And she just went into her bedroom, closed the door, and was like, all right, y'all. And
y'all still like, what?
We just sitting there and we start going back outside. And then I asked my cousin Tiffany, I said, does Auntie know Tupac? And she's like, Tiffany's like, no, she just loves him. And for me, that was the first experience that I recall the power of words. That someone feels like they would know you through your work, the impact you could have. And that was my first experience with poetry, is my aunt loving Tupac to the point where I thought that was the homie, And so that showed me the power of words. That was first, to know that you could have a home in people's hearts if you took it very seriously. But what we have to understand is Tupac is not just some seminal figure. Tupac is the son of a Black Panther,
right?
Afeni Shakur, right? And not just one of the Black Panthers, but a part of the Panther 21.
Yeah.
In the Panther 21 case, looking at the fact that she was pregnant with Tupac in prison, was able to represent herself and get out. The first of the 21 to get out. And what is really important and for me is like, that artist doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's like he was educated by Panthers.
Yeah.
You don't just get a random artist like that.
Yeah.
And where is the space for us to get our education? Where is the space for us to have other aspirations outside of a corporate gaze?
Yeah.
And so that's what's really driving me.
And it speaks to the power of. I was reading a piece recently that was reflecting on Lauren Halsey's recent installation. It was saying like this was, I'm gonna mess up on citing the person that wrote it, but the paraphrase is, this is more than representation, this is elevation and veneration.
Yeah.
And every culture deserves that, every subculture deserves that, every specific way of life deserves that dignity and that beauty within that. And Ted, we've talked a lot about your documentary work and just how a simple sentence like, I just want to chase beautiful light, how that light can be metaphoric, how it can be autobiographic, how it can be intimate, but how it can also help others that may not understand a particular cultural practice or activity as simple as skateboarding in Colorado to telling somebody's very intimate story in their life through images, through film, through preserving their story in books. And so I'm curious for you, where does that pursuit come from for you?
Well, first off, thank you for that. It's a great way to put this. I would say it's based in connection. And chasing beautiful light has a lot to tell. You could put that in the context of how you're shaping a story, because it's not just the light that you're looking for, but also when you see beautiful light, is it the light or the shadows around it that make it beautiful? With that, the connection when personally, if I'm working with somebody or if I'm working in the skateboard scene or if I'm, again, following somebody and making a documentary about the intimate details of a massive project they undertook and coming through a mental breakdown and talking about traumatic family past, all of that is based in connection. Everything about that has to come down to what is it that we're doing? It comes back to context, and really the big picture is how are we all kind of connected? And with connection too, it's easy to lose your message if you're not sure where it's going as well.
Yeah.
So again, much like lights, is it reflected? Is it going a different place? And what is it that appeals to you?
And there's so much, there's care. There's care in your words. There's care in the way you describe that practice. And there's care about the outcome, right? But then there's also the day-to-day. All of this sounds fantastic when you're talking to yourself in the mirror. Now you have to go out in the world and rent still has to be paid. Gifts have to be bought. Family members have to be taken care of. Lunch has to be eaten, unless you forget. But I'm curious to hear from some of you after you sit with, oh, this is really what's driving me, and say, okay, cool. I need some scaffolding or some reference points to understand how to channel this into a business, channel this into a practice. And so for anyone that's unfamiliar with your practice, I'd like to use the framing device of like, if you were stealing the operations notebooks from 3 different companies, how are you running your business? How are you using that as a reference of like, here's how we operate. Like if you wanted to come work for us, work with us, work alongside us, we run like this company meets this company, meets this company. How does that go? Carlie, let's start with you.
Man, I would say, if I was trying to describe this to somebody, it would be Walk Good's business model meets Nike's business model meets your favorite local spa.
That's a good good one. That's a good one. Ted, you remember how you correlated this?
Yes, I do. I would say this is what Mercedes used to be, and specifically in the 60s through 80s era. PBS and Bombas, the sock company.
Yeah. And that makes sense for understanding, like, day to day, like, how are people going to feel working with you and being around you?
So what this comes down to with something like Mercedes, the three-pointed star means land, air, and sea. I kind of adapt that if I'm looking at my own work, is that, again, I have a range of what I do, but I'm trying to be proficient in whatever I'm doing. I'm trying to be aware of what I'm doing and be applicable to whatever field I'm in. Communication, making sure it lands. PBS is about making programming that works. It's about something that's like foundational. And if I'm not going as far as educational purposes even, at least having a point to where it has at least the reach of something like that works.
Yeah.
Bombas is something that I feel like is a little bit of a reach for me, but what I love about it is that their volunteering aspects and also how they continuously give back. You know, every time you buy something from them, they are making sure there's a donation made for whatever you put in.
Mm-hmm.
So any way that you can give, like, kind of give back, support what you're doing, I'm a firm believer in. I think every business practice should be able to have that, especially in the creative fields as well.
For sure. I think, Michelle, you have some intersections that address some of those things as well. Like, how would you describe the operations for Ghost Town?
Yeah, Ghost Town is basically early stage only, and how it used to be very quality obsessed and hospitality focused in its sales strategy. That mixed with Partake Foods and how they have instilled their values into the actual operational infrastructure of their business. And then finally Telfar and how they use community as an engine and also are about that life. And if you were to take all of that and put Gordon Ramsay as the CEO, you got Ghost Town.
Bro, I don't know if I should be running off stage or applying. Def, what about for you? How are you contextualizing what you think some of the operating systems for Black Labs might be?
Yeah, so first of all, I did some research because I felt like this hasn't existed. You're always wrong about that. The answer is in the archives every time.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Amiri Baraka's Black Arts Repertory School that existed in 1964 to 1965 in Harlem. And that is a huge influence because he was rooted in praxis. And even though the school, it's praxis and philosophy, and it was a space for Black storytellers to figure out how they wanted to tell that story. It only was open from 1965 to 1966, 1966. And Sonia Sanchez taught there, so did Sun Ra. And
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it was shut down because an FBI member enrolled in the summer school. So we do need a vetting system, right? But out of that birthed the Black Arts Movement. So it's not about, I think what I'm rooted in is where is there a space to incubate a movement, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the second that comes to mind is also thinking about King Britt and his program called Blacktronica. And Blacktronica is all about educating people about the history of electronic music through just looking at Black creators. And that's gone from everywhere from the San Diego Library to Carnegie Hall, and giving people the history.
Yeah.
And I think the third ingredient would be the curation, care, and vision, curatorial vision of what Solange is doing with Saint Laurent.
Okay. Yeah. This all feels also on point. Chris, for you, I know there's a lot of threads being braided, but like, what are some reference points that would That'll help people understand how they could get in with helping that and how you would be running the operations of things.
Sure. I've gone back and forth between there being a brick and mortar location or it being something more mobile. As you know, the studio museum that exists on 125th in Harlem platforms autodidacts of all types of industries and verticals.
For sure.
It's one of those locations that feels as though it is a part of the community while still being a place that you want to go and check out if you're not from there.
For sure.
That mixed with the multifaceted creative ability that a lifestyle brand like Nike has, where they're able to put on events that feel natural, that feel native to, with less branding. Because that can become overwhelming and kind of takes away from what you're here to experience. But also with the independent feature of Black Sands Comics.
Yeah.
They produce their own comic books. They work with small distribution. In my mind, this first offering of a graphic novel was a limited run series, about 3,000 units.
Right.
So the marketing budget isn't crazy large as someone in marketing when you're only trying to sell 3,000 units. But because of that, there's a stronger position of connection over convincing.
Right. The funny part about that is those 3,000 units become the minimum viable product for the IP. And that can spawn like all the other things that we talked about in the cohort, like apparel, licensing, open world games, all of those things. And it starts with just that minimum viable product, the smallest version that can prove what the idea is and test to see, do people actually want it? The people that you think are gonna engage with it, do they want it? And I really wanna unpack that a bit more because as much as this is about like why you're doing what you're doing, it's also very important to be able to talk about what you're doing, like to the point it's like, what are we putting out in the world? What are we offering? And so what I actually wanna kind of go back to you, Chris, and we'll go Chris, Ted, and then back around here is because I know what your offerings and ideas were 11 weeks ago. So I'm curious to hear how that's been calibrated throughout the past 10 weeks, knowing that now you have a much more clearly defined vetting system of not, oh, is this a good idea? Is this a good opportunity or not? Versus like, no, this is why we say no to that. Like, what's that thing? Which we're gonna talk about that later. But I really just wanna talk about like, in addition to the graphic novel, what are 2 or 3 other offerings that are gonna be coming out of this, at least to start, that you're seeing right now?
Sure. To speak to the world building IP, this graphic novel series creates a bit of a blueprint or outline for what this Black diasporic archive will look like. From that, a short animated series. So now there's movement, not just still images where people take their time going through it. Now they can consume it on a 15-minute or a 7-minute even.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot to create an animation. So a 7-minute short. The goal there is to drop in a few of the gems and lessons, storytelling, so that it also helps to create the open world video game. And from there, I feel like the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Being able to put in all the types of technology that we'd like to see realized, patented,
Yeah.
with that IP and plenty of good lawyers. We'd be able to create different types of architectural settings, decor. Really, for me, as someone who also studied engineering and architecture in high school as a junior architect, it's this idea that we can create the things we'd like to see in real life, like how old comics used to be, with flying cars, and we still haven't got those yet, but we've kind of got those. Just being able to plant those ideas into young brains, adult brains who didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why my boilerplate includes after memory existing as an intersection between memory and possibility is the Afrofuturistic aspect of it all.
And I think that it's a timeline and an offering that it's not about that people can follow, But it's like, if this is the train to the future, there's at least 3 clearly described stops of how to get there. And I think that that's a really, it's very clarifying to let people know when they can board your train. You know what I mean? Like, that's a beautiful thing. And I think that wasn't the conversation 11 weeks ago.
Not at all.
But it was a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, great. Where do we start? Give me a point of departure. And I love that, that with that now it's like, oh, I got so many more ideas. But it's also, now we know who to introduce to you, who to send your way, right? Ted, what about for Menné Heron? I know we've gone back and forth on a few things with that, but where do we stand now with what people could expect from what Menné Heron is bringing?
So at this point, moving forward, at the forefront, I would say campaigns and branding projects are on the forefront here.
Okay.
And then things that are coming up are a photo book in the next year, and ideally a physical photo installation. I'd love to do another show.
Yes, and I selfishly would love to see you in some form of arts education, because you really do have a heart for bringing people into the process so that they can do more within their own stories, 1,000%.
Thank you. Appreciate you saying that.
For sure. See?
Yeah, I might go back to that.
Listen, and also, like, listen, all of y'all gonna get called on for subs, so for sure. Michelle, we've talked a lot about reintegrating all of your, how can I put it? All of the selves and all of your journal entries, and reintegrating them into, again, like, there's a reason it's Ghost Town World, right? Where do we sit now? Now that we've gone through the vetting, the Angela Bassett burning things down, the coming back around to everything, like, where are we at?
Well, you can still get the oat milk. It's on Prosperity Market, baristaunderground.com. Go ahead and get you some of that.
In case any of you were worried.
Yeah, that is the initial entry point that is accessible to everybody. But for the professionals,
For the professionals.
underneath Ghost Town World, I'm really excited to start working on what I'm calling block standard.
Say more about this.
So the Ghost Town Oats tagline is made by baristas for every block, which notes the credentials, but recenters who the fuck we're doing this for. So the hospitality program, the education program, the content studio is block standard. And it starts with, it's a tiered system. So there's the YouTube series, the writings, all of that stuff is free, educational. Go ahead and hear from me on what I think actually creates a hospital environment. My green flags, my red flags, my do's and my don'ts. From there also comes a PDF workbook that is a culmination of all of that information that is also will be working. Then the second tier is the certification program.
Come on, certifications.
The Claire d'Or of coffee. The unreasonable hospitality working class for coffee. And I'm really excited about that. 6 students, 6 weeks, twice a year, no more than that. And then the third tier is the enterprise level version of that. So the half day, whole day workshop. This is for coffee companies that have anywhere from 5 to 15 locations, hospitality groups with cafe programs. That is where you get me. If you really want me, there is an extra charge, but fortunately, everyone who goes through the Tier 2 Cohort program will be able to do those in my wake, which is why it costs extra to get me in the room, because I got shit to do.
There we go, there we go, there we go.
Oh, and also,
yes.
I'm actually not done, because when we were talking about MVP, I actually have an MVP of this coming in about 3 weeks. At the World of Coffee Expo, I will be co-facilitating a lecture that talks about why coffee professionals should be the ones that are building and creating and owning the CPG products or consumer packaged good products that we use in coffee shop spaces. So taking everything that I've learned through Ghost Town so far, giving out that information for a nice number of $400 for a 3-day pass, and hopefully inspiring coffee professionals to you know, make some cups,
Yeah.
make some lids, make some syrups, sell them. Like, we know better than anybody what consumers want and what we want to use on bar. We should be the ones that are owning and operating those companies.
Absolutely. The subject matter expert is always going to be the person that's called in when the expert is out of their depth. And that's a reality. I don't care what industry you're in. It's the realest thing in the world. Which getting to you, Carlie, you became a subject matter expert in literally liberating yourself. And so what are the touch points that people are engaging with what you're able to share about those practices that worked for you?
Yeah, I do a lot of things, but I'm inspired by your tears. I'm gonna have to figure mine out. But for free, if y'all want some heart and mind snacks, I have a podcast where I talk about life and empowerment and healing and movement. I have guests.
And what's it called?
Carlie's Couch.
And how many episodes do we have?
373 episodes.
Just in case y'all thought this was a hobby.
Yeah, no,
Just wanted to be clear.
Actually, there's some guests in here. Torian was on one of my things. All of these people will be shortly. Tony from Aura Cafe. I love telling stories and creating spaces for people to be heard who are doing great things and building and holding space for the community. So if that's you, hit me up, because that's somewhere that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks. Because at first it started, I had a partner, and it was very cathartic for us to talk through what we were going through. She's a Black woman, she's an entrepreneur, we're sorors, like all these things, but moving to LA, not from here. What does it look like? What does dating look like? What does self-love look like? Then you turn, you know, you're in your mid-30s and she turned 40, and it's like, what happens with your body? What goes on as life happens? And so that's one way that you can connect with me. Another freemium model that I'm working on is putting up my mobility, my meditation, and my mindfulness videos on my own YouTube, but also through apps like Insight Timer. If you meditate, like I'm a teacher on there, so find me. Yes, thanks. I did it during the cohort, so it's new. So that's another free way. And then I be posting workouts and stuff all the time, so those are all free ways that you can come hang out with me, because I'm not scalable, but I'm working on that. So if you want to pay, there will be another tier where there's either individual coaching or just access to videos. And then I'm doing at least 2 retreats a year where we go somewhere else, like Bali. One will be international, one will be local, like US, where you can come and relax and restore your nervous system and figure out what that looks like. And if you want to pay, I'm so happy to host a retreat for your company, for you and your friends, for a birthday. Me and my partner who run retreats, like we just got back from Bali and hosted for a nonprofit out of Chicago that helps organizers in Chicago. So we are really focused on serving the people who serve the people. Like that is always my goal. And then lastly, I've been doing professional development in the education space for the past few years, about self-care, about burnout, ways to build your self-care toolkit and stay on top of your own healing in this world, but also provide better brave spaces for your students or for your staff. And so I'm tightening up the offerings on that, but I've been doing that for the past couple of years. So.
Which is crazy to hear you say it, because I'm like, when do you sleep? But it's also like, these weren't aspirational offerings. Again, like it wasn't like, I'm gonna start a podcast. It's like, you could listen to my podcast every day for a year from the past, 7 years?
It was 7 years. We never missed a Monday in September. And then I took a 3-month break and then restarted and have been going 3 times a month. I'm not every week again, but I'm working on it.
But the point is that my favorite thing about all the stories up here, but specifically in this example, is that a large part of the time in the cohort was not about creating anything new. It was organizing and segmenting what you were already doing. And in that way, it becomes this like Marie Kondo thing, right? Where we were just like, all right, cool. Is this still sparking joy? Not, oh, this is burning things down. We should probably maybe not, right? But to hear you still speak about it with the interest of doing it, it's like, oh no, I remembered why I started doing this, and the burnout comes from trying to light something that's not your purpose. It's going to burn out versus something that continues to feed into that flame. And so with that being said, Def, I know that you have a few different ways that you're showing up parallel to Black Labs as well as within it. And so if you want to talk about what you're looking at offering through Black Labs, but then also as your artistic practice, that becomes kind of like the beacon for like, oh yeah, this is what you could become out of this particular thing.
Right, no, absolutely. Thank you for framing it that way. So the offerings with Black Labs, first of all, would be workbooks, the grounding work of the philosophy. What is that grounded in? And also a DIY artist independent toolkit book, which is just gonna be able to give you where to start, how to even have systems of reciprocity between the people that you collaborate with. It doesn't mean just because you're not scaling up, you're not, that you're not having a corporate interest doesn't mean that you're not doing business. Mm-hmm. And so how do we do business with integrity? How do we tell our stories in a way that are connective? And so it's more of a workbook. There will be a lot of questions. And I've taught a course called DIY Artist Toolkit at CalArts where I teach for 2 years. And so we're working on making that a mandatory course to even graduate, because it's high enrollment and every student, we gotta know how to do this stuff, you know, with each other. And that's the biggest thing. Not waiting for a corporation to save us. Mm-hmm. We have to know what we're doing interpersonally. So that would be the first entry point. And then the next tier is looking at residencies, like as an artist residency. Yeah. Being able to have, maybe it's like a week together to work on the projects that we're doing. And I think I was watching an interview with Chloe Zhao, actually, and something that she brought up was that she wishes that she had time, and this is the director of Hamnet, she wishes that she had time to visit other directors' sets.
Oh yeah.
That was the one thing that she was saying. She was like, it seems like once you become a director, your education ends. So what about having a space, a residency for artists to be able to watch each other work, get deeper into that bag, whatever it is. And I think that with everything going so algorithmically, you're not getting real feedback.
Yeah.
And so I think that just having the ability to see each other and see each other work, and you might see that there's things that you're doing that like people have also been doing. It's just, you know, it's camaraderie and community outside of the corporate competition or, you know, whatever that may be. And then I think the third level of Black Labs is I would love for it to be a festival. I would love for it to be a festival where it's like we have the people that are in the cohort, then we have the people that mentored them. And having that just be an incubator, and that would be amazing. So yeah, those are kind of like the three offerings or the three levels that I see it coming from. It's something that is like tangible that they can take with them, then somewhere that they can be, and then an experience.
Which I think a lot of us really wish that there would have been a Red Bull Music Festival
to
follow the Red Bull Music Cohort. Like you mean like that was a whole time.
It was a whole thing.
The Red Bull Music Academy.
A lot of people got their albums done through that situation.
One of the greatest things we got at Flying Lotus. Alumni of that. You know, so when we talk about those things and we're kind of coming up on time, I want to be mindful of that. Is we'll do a quick little rapid fire round. Those of you that know me, especially you all up here, know how much I loved James Lipton inside the Actor Studio. He always do like a version of the Proust questionnaire at the end. So it's like rapid fire things for you to think about. So we're just gonna go around it with a few things. So one of the things that I want to get to and just see what comes up for you is what are we saying no to now after coming out of this? What things are we saying no to? Real quick, Ted, what are we saying no to now?
Jobs for exposure.
Fantastic. Chris, what are we saying no to?
Underestimating my pricing time.
Ooh, Michelle, what are we saying no to?
Meetings.
Say that again.
Meetings.
Right. Carlie, what are we saying no to?
Not blocking out time for myself.
Def, what are we saying no to?
Zionists.
Hey. Listen, we was gonna let that sit for a second, for sure. What color are we right now?
Blue.
Royal purple.
That shade of salmon pink back there.
Okay.
A nice glowy dusk.
Okay.
Gold.
There we go. For context, we begin every session with a check-in of how everybody's feeling, and sometimes it's what color are you? What was the one we did? Like, what home appliance are you feeling like today? That was some very interesting ones. What are we saying? What are we saying yes to?
Giving ourselves time and space to be creative and have our peace.
Okay, Chris.
I want to say ditto, but
You can.
cutting time out of my week to create something for me.
Okay, Michelle.
Going to bed early and waking up early.
Hey, all right, Carlie.
The same intention and care I help other people's businesses and all the people in my life for myself.
Hold on, that needs to sit for a second. Somebody in this room needs to hear it. I'm not gonna look at any of the 7 of you. And there's no mirror up here for me. Def.
I'm saying yes to help. I need help.
I'm right here, why are you so loud?
Just saying. Yes.
That's real. I told y'all that someone was gonna cry. It was gonna be the unexpected one. What are you gonna do with your Wednesdays now?
I've been thinking about this a lot.
Apparently not enough to give an answer.
I know. I'm keeping my Wednesdays for me. I know that so far.
Hey, there we go.
I got a graphic novel to produce with my brother.
Hey,
I have some lectures to write.
yes you do.
I'm switching mine to Wednesday morning, but I'm working on slicing up my offerings.
All right.
Conversations with people that believe in this idea.
Yeah, that feels good. And lastly, you talked about help. What is one thing that someone in this room could do as a direct action to support whatever your next step is? Just one thing, something simple. Or massive. This is the time to ask for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Social media support's a good place to start. Menné Heron is my Instagram, and then you can find my email through that too.
Okay.
I'm looking for a print publisher.
Okay. Michelle?
You can introduce me to somebody who can write me a $250,000 check.
Okay.
I'm gonna say accountability because a couple of y'all know me and I need some accountability for some things I'm working on.
Okay.
Introduce me to other educators that have changed your life, other educators that are active in the community. If it's not, goodness is a group project. So I need more people that are doing this work. And also, I think that's also people that love education and don't want to, also MCs that need this work.
Yeah.
It's not just for young people, it's about recovering from corporate scars. Who wants to see this thing be different?
Okay. And one more just came up. Why are you proud of yourself now on the other side of this 10 weeks? Or what are you proud of the most?
Staying present and staying true to my practice.
Finding a way to integrate my creativity into producing something that will feed my family.
Okay.
For anyone who's read All About Love by Bell Hooks, then you know the difference between cathexis and love. And I am proud of falling in love with Ghosttown. From a place of cathexis.
I'm most proud of the gentleness with which I've held myself throughout this time. Everything's always been so hard, so it has to get done, so like forcing and making sure and all this pressure, and I didn't do that. It's the first time I've allowed gentleness to lead.
All right. Yeah.
I think what I'm most proud of is the consistency in which I showed up in the physical sense.
Yeah.
And also, I articulated my philosophy.
Yeah.
I articulated my philosophy because if we don't know what we believe in, we can't teach it.
Yeah.
Can I share it?
You want to?
I got it.
Let's go.
I articulated. I told you I was gonna save it.
Yeah.
Told you I was gonna
See,
save it.
and this worked out just exactly as I needed to.
Bring notes.
Hey, listen. If I could memorize this, I absolutely would. One day I will.
Now you put me in the spot where I have to.
But
You want me to govern this ungovernable one?
Right, really well. I was too much.
I'm just saying, this is the philosophy. This is what every facilitator that is going to join the Black Labs will have to believe.
Well, now see, that's different. That's not. Okay.
This is not my boilerplate.
He didn't bring a visual aid.
I guarantee this is not a boilerplate.
Also, you should all know that this has happened for 10 weeks. this type of event, 1,000%, and that's why I'm glad to be here. So
Now
what's
in,
up?
now this is the philosophy of the Black Labs. Now and here, out of nowhere, now we here believe in magic. We believe the poet is a physician, strong medicine, healing pathologies a stanza at a time. We believe MCs to be philosophers, custodians of schools of thought. We believe musicians to be magicians, conjuring spells of manifestations materialize. We believe in the power of the page, experimentation at every stage. The goal is to keep going. We believe Nikki Feeney when she said that repetition is holy. Repetition is holy. Repetition be holy. We believe in citing our sources. We are scientists and seers, cycle breakers and seekers beyond. We believe in reciprocity as a ritual. We believe in the cleansing power of hot showers as incubators for thoughts and ideas and the necessity of uninterrupted naked time. We believe knowledge is to be shared, not dropped, but to be passed on with care. Every creation is a success story, and we live with unprecedented levels of ontological integrity, art as a weaponry, designers of destiny. We know words make worlds. We know that Black women are the best poets, and this is not up for debate. Any line of questioning will be met with education. We believe hip-hop to be a discipline with many healing properties. Corporate interests have no business in our studios. We believe in the study of the scrolls that have come before us. Comrades of chorus, our pens are antennas. Every truth is a dare, so we dare to tell it. All actions are done in service to our gifts. We understand goodness is a group project. Nihilism is for losers. We are led by the instinctual. We believe in the unseen and the unspoken, the spiritual to be ancestral. All creativity is a communication device. So we believe in sculpting time daily to transmit into realms of memories that we haven't lived yet. We believe a life well lived is a life spent in practice. So practice is a kind of prayer. So we believe it is that deep. Hope is a skill set. Georgia Ann said, we stay open source. Practicing possibility models, we make each other possible. We believe inspiration to be an endless well, that we have access to at any time. And the more we visit, the more it is available. We believe kindness is never out of reach. We are honest with our hours. History is a current event. Now, both here and now, every step allows the ground to appear. We believe in incremental progressions. We believe in the follow through. We believe in what our hands can do beyond belief. We understand that answering our calling is our only job.
we make each other possible. Everyone, the Burntsienna Calibrations Winter 2026 cohort, please give them a round of applause. All right, quick housekeeping. First of all, thank you all for being present for this. I see some familiar faces out here. I see some alumni. If you are curious about what this cohort is about, you can talk to me, but talk to me last, just to be honest. Like, I've been doing this long enough that I know that whatever my viewpoint is, regardless of how well you think I'm doing, I'm still just one note when you have an entire symphony here. Ask questions of those that are on stage, ask questions of those that are in the space, then come and find me, and we can have a conversation then. Because this is not something that I sell you on. This is something that I try to discourage you from until you tell me that, no, this is what I need. My job is to listen, guide you through the forms and the scaffolding, and watch you be proud of the spiritual abdominal muscles you have when you come out of this. Now we're into real housekeeping. So like anybody that's been socialized in black churches, we're gonna put these chairs back underneath all of the tables. Please clean up all of your messes. If you got papers, cups, chips, all the things, there's trash receptacles around there, please do that. And then when it comes to Burntsienna, how you can support and follow what we're doing on social media, it is at Burntsienna Research Society, like a Tribe Called Quest, type in the whole thing. SEO work works pretty good, so if you type in Burntsienna, it should be halfway there. If you are a fan of any of the people up here, they are all tagged in the most recent post that is on there, so you can follow their stories and follow along there. If you are so moved by making space for this to be possible, for those that are so deep in the weeds of what they're doing but know that they need this, you can make a tax-deductible donation in the form of a scholarship or a grant. That link is in our Instagram bio. It's all there. I would tell you, look at where you are and give as you have. Everyone in here, it's at least if everyone in here gave $200, we'd have 1.5 scholarships filled. So, the other thing is, if you have anybody that's still trying to like write something off on their taxes and want to do a good thing, provide this to them as a solution. Write off $3,500 to $7,000 real quick to something that is going to benefit an entire community. And last but not least, if you are in search of a space to slow down your research practice, whether you're developing a project or a product, we have an entire research library of art books inside of a residence in Hawthorne. You can book time. There is a link in the bio of our Instagram for that. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 a.m. session, 3 p.m. session. There are 3-hour blocks. All the information is there. We would love to welcome you. Other than that, one more round of applause for our winter cohort. Thank you all for coming. And we'll be around. We still got the space for like the rest of the hour, so we got time. Restrooms are back there. Meet somebody you don't know. I'm gonna turn the music back on. We're good. Thank you so much.
Maceo, can somebody take a picture of us?
Yeah. I'll take a quick one.
I just remembered it because I looked at you. I was like, oh, Maceo's gonna make sure that I take a picture. Yeah. Should we be in front of this?
No, like by the house.
Yeah, like this. That's the song. Oh, I see what y'all did there.
All right, here's one. Hold on. Keep going. Stay there. Ba, 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 ba.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All together, go. Ba 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 ba.
I didn't graduate school. I just picked them on the phone. I didn't walk. I just picked them on the phone.
Why won't you let me do my what's his name? Bobby McFerrin. My Bobby McFerrin. Yeah, exactly. No, that's it. Yeah, don't do that.
Chasing beautiful light. I'm like, what kind of perfection is this? That's the thing. That is the